There's a biblical expression that's often used. It's called the expression of all the earth. All the earth is an expression of perspective in Scripture, and sometimes we can read that and assume that the writer is making a geographic statement all-encompassing of all the earth, and that's not necessarily the case. How we can tell is when we look at the perspective of the author. Oftentimes that expression, all the earth, simply means their world, their locality around them. In a biblical sense, the expression all the earth can mean the entire boundaries or the border of the people concerned. So for example, when it talks about the Ark of the Covenant coming into the camp of Israel, it can use the expression all the earth shook. And it's not necessarily saying that planet Earth shook, it's an expression of their world. And this is something that we need to understand. The metaphors, the idioms, and the ways of speaking that is used in Scripture is not often, or perhaps not often, the same way that we would use it. We need to understand the idioms and the metaphors to understand the perspective of the biblical author. This is really critical for understanding the Bible in its proper context. And so here in Washington, D.C., it's often been described as the center of the earth. This is perhaps one of the most important cities on the planet. And we might use that expression, but we don't mean it in a wooden, literal sense. And so I think we need to approach Scripture in the same way. So when it talks about, for example, in Matthew 24, verse 14, that the gospel of the kingdom shall be proclaimed in all the world. Again, it's not necessarily the whole cosmos, the whole of planet Earth, but it is the world of both the original audience and the intent of the one speaking, which was that using that very specific Greek word, oikumene, which meant the whole known world, or as we would refer to it today, the Roman Empire. So as we read Scripture, we need to take this into account. I'm Andrew Corbett. For more information, please visit findingtruthmatters.org or andrewcorbett.net.